Hi. Happy Wednesday. How you doing? Oh, man, what a few days it's been. I've been thinking a lot about this upcoming 8/8. For those of you who are into the things like the portals and astrology and Lionsgate, you may also be getting excited and feeling that bubbling up sort of a feeling. Or maybe you're just feeling this last sort of push that summer is sort of going to call from us, this next moon phase. And I sort of was thinking a lot about that the past couple of days. I was like hearing a little bit of a foreshadowing, I guess, of some like future ideas or future knowings that will be helpful to me and the people that I work with. And as I was hearing them, I'm like seeing it in myself also very in the moment. So like, it was telling me to be present with where I am at. And especially for me, like when I'm with my kids, be present with your kids. Like, don't feel so distracted all the time. Don't let myself feel so distracted. Don't let myself feel like I should or could be doing something else. That if I was supposed to be doing that something else in that moment, I would be doing that. A lot of times, in my space as a mom, I have found myself feeling like there's not enough time for me to be other person than a mom. And as I step further into my full alignment, that story has been falling away more and more. And the new hearing is, and even maybe new awakening is how fast this segment of my life is moving, and that I don't want to be distracted by the not enough of here and here and here. That just like the other ways that I was able to give myself time, I feel like my eye is swollen and it's doing weird things to my vision. The other ways that I was able to give myself time in other parts of my life, by also surrendering in this, it will also sort of give me back as well. And I have an example. Do any of those words make sense? So in my life, when I first had to work for healing like my mental health, it was a lot of letting go of reality and turning into what could be a potential uncertainty, and trusting my teachers at that time, the people that I had committed to work with for that length of time, and just trusting that I didn't know a better way, or else I wouldn't have been right there in that moment, you know? So it was a little bit of a surrender in a way that it was good for me. With my body and weight loss stuff, it kind of came by accident. I knew that my mental health was sort of demanding me to let go of other ideas. And it just so happened that I kind of just looped that in there too. I was like, and throw this shit in there too, because I'm done. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to not want to off myself. And I'm going to be done thinking about this weight loss shit too, because it's kind of also annoying. And that one I kind of got just like by accident. It was one of my favorite accidents, actually. But each time I turned into myself, there were spaces to let go of something that I didn't even realize I was carrying. Does that make sense? So for this example, on Friday or Saturday, one of those days, I started hearing what's coming in this next space and what will serve me as far as not thinking about things and thinking about other things. So be present, be appreciative in the moments, And if I'm present, I can appreciate that's something that is in my normal practice. So before, when I was guided to appreciate myself, it was work because it didn't really live here. I didn't really have that belief in my body. I wonder if I slept on dog hair or something because my eye is so strange. Anyway, sorry I keep messing with it right in front of your face, but it's driving me crazy. I keep feeling like it was going to go down all day, and it's still here. Anyway, each time I want to pick up something else, I got to put something down. It's the same. If my hands are full, how could I carry another thing? If my vibrational bandwidth is full, where will I put something else, So as I'm hearing, this future update for August, for Lionsgate, for this seemingly next leg of my year. How can I be more present? How can I not be distracted? That's been actually advice since the last moon too. I got big message, do not be distracted. Do not be distracted. And distracted by all the things, super annoying things like my eye. I feel like I remember this story about a guy and his horse. And this horse had this one fly just biting him all the time. And this is not the best recap of the story. But there was a man who also came to see the other guy with the horse. And he went to shoo away the fly. And the guy's like, don't do that. That fly keeps my horse focused. And when I first heard the story, I was like, that's kind of messed up. And I kept thinking about it, why would the universe want something so annoying to keep my focus? Why would I keep something annoying to keep my focus? And for a little while, I kept playing with it being a good thing to have the distraction in a way that I can't get comfortable. And I can see that. Because sometimes comfortable starts to mean slow and not moving. However, that's not really been the feeling that I've had. This was more of a time to move. Don't be distracted, even by the fly. So in my mind, this would be the time to flick the fly off. Anyway, not to say that this is an example of flicking a fly off, but maybe. Well, in Instagram, I had a friend who had been following me for most of my journey. And, even parts where they have shared in celebration with me for my victory, for my sober days, for my weight loss days back when I was actually counting that. I don't count that anymore. But there was a time when I actually counted that too. And this person had been there all along, sort of being supportive. And, over time, the conversation had gone off and on. And more recently, the conversation came back around and it started in a different way that, I guess initially I wasn't shutting down, but it was wait, what? So next thing you know, one thing leads to another, and now the messages are not at all aligned with what I'm trying to say. My words are not being heard. My boundaries are being completely ignored as far as I could say. And I also then had to face with one of my kind of nemesis in my personal area. I wouldn't say it's an OCD thing, but it could be seeing certain notifications on my phone. I have a really hard time with it. I can't relax. It makes me crazy. And a lot of times I will hear a message and then I feel compelled to reply right away because I know that people know that I've heard. But I often rush myself with these notifications. So at first I noticed that the notifications were becoming too much and I just muted them all. Immediately that felt better and I was like, oh, that's actually cool. I should do that. For Instagram, you have to do it every 8 hours and then you can do it again, which not my favorite, but it is what it is. Well, then I noticed that this personal, the notifications weren't going away because there was images that I had to look at. They wouldn't let me just delete them, but it wouldn't let the notification go away if I didn't open the image. And then I realized, well, I could just delete this whole entire conversation. I am not necessarily someone that does that. I don't think I've deleted a conversation. I can't think of when the last time I've done something like that. It would be more back to when I was being like a shady girlfriend back in girlfriend days, or when I was trying to score drugs and thought that by deleting the conversation that would somehow delete it from Everland. Who knows? But anyway, I haven't deleted a conversation for a long time, and I actually didn't love the idea of doing it. I actually had like a big apprehension, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to delete this conversation. And it said right on there, this person doesn't get notified, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, fine, good. That way nobody's bent out of shape. I can just leave this be and it'll go away. It didn't go away. The next day or that evening, even more pictures and notifications came through. And at that point, I'm like, you know, this is not going to make me happy, where I have to constantly do this to keep this person in their like loop of wherever they are, not listening to my boundaries, not giving a shit about what I've said. And I cannot stand to see the notifications. And maybe that is my own silly thing, but that's a my thing, and I live with me in my head. This is my control. Sure, I could do a big old thing about letting go of notifications, but do I really need to do that? Not necessarily today. I went to delete the message again, and this time I just blocked the person altogether. I figured at this point, I haven't been able to respond because you're still sending things that I've asked you not to send. And I've had to delete your message twice because of you flat out ignoring something that I asked you not to do. And still, 2 days later, I sit with, wow, I can't believe I actually just deleted them and blocked them. And not to say that everyone deserves to be treated that way. I don't necessarily feel that way. It's actually not something that I do. I have felt bad, and, you know, part of me felt like, well, should I tell the person first? No, you actually tried to tell them a couple of things and they did not give a crap. Like, there comes a point when you give people a chance, and then there has to become a point when you let them have given you the chance, you take in the information. Like, okay, I gave them a chance, a couple of them, and they still disregarded me. So now if I show up, it's not that I'm giving them a chance, I'm choosing their way over my own choice, over my own self. That sounds like a long-winded story, but in a way, I had to shoo the fucking fly away in this case. And this person was clearly not willing to listen to me. And of course, all the usual things about, you know, how much they appreciate me. They just are going to do it their way, sort of a feeling kept coming through. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's just not okay. You know, from here, it's okay. We can all have our own experience, and it stays there. Like, you can watch someone's live and never participate or talk. You can watch someone's live and make faces at them through the other end of the screen. But when you start interacting with someone, then you have involved them. And if you are doing things that don't feel good, or if people are doing things that don't feel good to you, well, then it's up to one of you to decide to not participate anymore, you know? This also makes me think a lot about my coaching work. And this past month has been really, really wonderful and eye-opening and teaching and expansive for me in a way that I was able to like dive into this work more. I've learned things about my own teaching skill and coaching skills that I didn't really realize maybe. I've let Rose come through in ways that have been really, really freaking cool and empowering. And I appreciate her so much, me so much for this, you know? And it's also sort of giving me this image about what I want going forward, how I want my work to keep evolving with me. And this next coming month, you know, I feel like it's sort of that time for us to brush the fly off and to not feel bad about it, you know, not feel bad about taking our own energy into our hands, our thoughts and our feelings and our creation into our hands at this very transformative space in the year and in our experience in the collective and as an individual. Yeah, I feel like I could talk of like miles and miles on about Jupiter and our gifts wanting to come, and about the sacral energy just brewing and churning and burning and maybe not quite moving the way that you want it to, and stirring up that energy center now and being a little more brave and not doing things in a way that's like because F you, but just doing things in a way that's like, it is what it is. This is my truth, and marching on. And as you flick the flies away, you will find incredible space. I have been so surprised. The space that I found in my mind by not even thinking about this situation now. How much airtime it was taking, considering the conversation, considering trying to open and close the message so that I didn't hurt someone else's feelings, who again kept showing that they just were not willing to listen to me, that they were going to do this their way, whether it meant whatever it meant to me. And ultimately, I could have kept showing up and diminishing my own self to myself, but I wouldn't do that to me anymore. You know, maybe it took me a couple of times to have to like sit there and contemplate deleting a message or not. How did it make me feel or not? But I honestly kind of feel like this was like a turning point for my own everything, how I show up in social media, how I show up as an individual. Like I don't feel like I should ever be willing to keep going where someone does not care about how they're treating me, you know? Before, it would feel like I would show up and still try to morph and contort myself to fit into these boxes, to fit into these groups, to fit into these spaces so that I could belong to something. But I can see a gifting to myself where it's like I've done enough sitting with myself that myself doesn't want this for me. You know, like I could feel how uncomfortable it was to do that. It's not very Nancy of me. If you know me, I'm friends with like almost all of my exes. I don't like to not people. I like to be understanding. I give second chances. I give billions of chances. But I'm also not going to fight anymore. I said that the other day in a conversation that I didn't realize I was like declaring it, but I meant it in a way. I'm not going to fight. You asked, I answered, you ignored, we're done. You know? So, yeah. I feel like if you are finding yourself like the horse and there's just something biting at you and you can't get a break, shoo the fly away. Let yourself do something you've never done before. This may be the most important time in your life to do something like that. This may be the most energetically supportive time for you to do something like that. And while that might not seem like a very big deal, there may be parts of your energy that are so excited about that idea. And you don't even have to know how big of an idea it was. It just is a big idea. It was a big deal. And then let yourself see what you're able to hold now that you have new space. Space that you didn't even realize was being so siphoned away by a fly. You know, like, dang. It's been kind of amazing. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go put some ice on my eye because I don't want to drive around today with a swollen eye. Thanks, animals, as I look at my bed blanket covered in animal fur. All right, friends. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. And if you have any questions about anything that I've shared, I would love to hear your question. I would love to try to help it make sense if you're wanting to make sense of it. I am still hearing how this latest idea is going to come out. It's definitely some sacral energy, healing our sacred sex wounds. And not necessarily meaning sex wounds as in abuse or sex wounds as in something done outside of ourselves. It could be deeper than that, you know, more layered, maybe not even of this lifetime. There's lots and lots and lots of space there and lots of directions to heal into. And yeah, I know that this is definitely the month to be that, to be sharing in that space, to be moving up that space. If nothing else, I just encourage you to be stirring the soups, taking time to rotate your body and spin your spine in all the directions. It goes in 6 different directions, front and back, left and right, around and forward. And just let yourself stir up your soup. Lean and feel into that space. See if you can shake some debris away. Maybe you can't even name the fly. You just feel, you know? I'll talk to you soon, friends.